Thank you for joining us today on Earthfile. Welcome to the program. I'm Ayola Kasim. The federal government has approved a roadmap for the Nigerian electricity supply industry with the adoption of the National Integrated Electricity Policy. The policy is set to go beyond mere infrastructure upgrades. The Minister of Power says it integrates renewable energy adoption, energy efficiency measures, climate resilience, and improved regulatory oversight, setting the stage for a modern and inclusive power sector. This policy also encourages the growth of state electricity markets and supports a decentralized but coordinated energy planning model, allowing subnational actors to play more active roles in electricity management. And it is a 21-year plan that could also attract $122.2 billion in investment. Today on the program, we'll look at what this plan and other initiatives can do to change the state of things in the electricity market. Do stay with us.
A worker of one of the suppliers of used solar panels in Lagos changing the spec sheet on a panel's backsheet. Experts say this is to circumvent the goal of the barcode, which helps to track the device through production and assembly and afterwards its warranty by fixing ineligible broken barcodes or completely fake spec sheet on the back of a device. This is one of the factors that make solar energy generations inefficient across the country. It is believed that Nigeria's renewable energy sector is on the brink of a revolution, driven by the growing demand for sustainable and reliable power solutions. With over 80 million Nigerians lacking access to grid electricity, solar power presents a viable alternative to bridge the energy gap. However, the market's potential is under siege by a persistent issue: counterfeit and low-quality solar products. These counterfeit panels, often disguised as premium brands, flood the market at lower prices, attracting cost-conscious consumers. Unfortunately, they come with hidden costs: poor efficiency, frequent system failures, and shortened lifespans. This not only leads to financial losses for consumers, but also erodes trust in solar technology as a reliable energy source.
That of the three reasons we have discovered why solar does not work, design is one of it. If you have a poor design, no matter how good you are with installation, it will not work very well. You have them using 2 batteries or 3 batteries where they ought to use like 6, and it's also a design issue. So one of the design is one. The next one is about how the quality of the material used for installation. So for that, we have them using substandard equipment for both panels, inverters. I tell you it's a pure sine wave, but yet it's not a pure sine wave. I tell you this inverter can take this number of what is written in the nameplate is different. We've had reasons why we have to take our students over and over again on how you can measure or know your panel and the nameplate very well. So people don't just come and place something else and it's actually written a different thing. So that's also a challenge. And the other one I made mention of, it's aside from the design, aside from the equipment, is that people do not, the installers themselves train, technicians, train engineers, get them updated on what is the required NICE requirements.
To tackle these challenges, it has been said that industry stakeholders must collaborate to enforce quality standards and raise awareness about the risks of counterfeit products, as well as focus on the urgent need for a transformative shift toward sustainable energy systems.
The chairman.
To answer this call, the inaugural Legislative Conference and Expo on Renewable Energy in Nigeria was held in the first week of May in Lagos, southwest Nigeria.
Thank you so much.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives said that Nigeria has no option than to adopt renewable energy as one of the ways of diversifying the country's economy, saying the case for renewable energy is compelling.
In 2023, of the estimated global energy investment of $2.8 trillion, $1.7 trillion was committed to renewable energy, energy efficiency, and electric mobility. This shift in capital allocation signifies a structural reorientation of the global energy economy, where more sustainable alternatives are increasingly displacing fossil fuels. For Nigeria, a country that relies heavily on fossil fuel exports for its earnings, this transition presents both challenges and opportunities. As the global market shifts towards cleaner energy, countries like Nigeria will have no choice but to diversify their economy to maintain their financial stability while seeking investments in renewable energy sources to align with global trends. The transition to renewable energy is not just an economic necessity. It holds substantial implications for national policy agendas. Renewable energy has become central to initiatives aimed at fostering inclusive economic growth, climate adaptation, and industrial innovation. Countries that have embraced this change have decreased their vulnerability to global fuel price fluctuations, improved energy access, and positioned themselves as leaders in the low-carbon economy.
Among the recent legislative milestones, the House of Representatives passed a new tax reform bills that eliminate value-added tax on renewable energy components and compressed natural gas technologies. These reforms are said to be designed to stimulate private investment and enhance affordability in the clean energy sector. The House is also reported to be working to provide legal backing for Nigeria's renewable energy and energy efficiency policy of 2015, a framework that seeks to boost renewable energy adoption, curb greenhouse gas emissions, and improve energy efficiency nationwide.
Across Africa and in other emerging economies, parliaments have taken the lead in implementing frameworks that promote independent power production, support the decentralized energy systems, and encourage innovation. These proactive legislative initiatives demonstrate that strong institutional leadership is essential for driving successful energy transitions. Nigeria is committed to global energy reform, as demonstrated in the legislative agenda of the 10th House of Representatives, which prioritizes energy reform. Specifically, Strategic Objective 8.5 of our agenda aims to promote the transition to renewable energy while enhancing clean energy production and access.
Nigeria has been grappling with a power sector plagued by an unreliable grid, gas shortages, and financial challenges. Nigeria was previously allocating nearly 200 billion naira monthly to electricity subsidies due to non-commercially viable tariffs. The government's decision to remove subsidies for the top 15% of electricity consumers, encompassing both households and businesses with high consumption rates, has led to a substantial financial turnaround. During a press briefing in Abuja, the Minister of Power highlighted the positive impact of the targeted tariff adjustment, with the markets generating an additional 700 billion naira in revenue, reflecting a 70% increase. This strategic move, he said, has not only alleviated the financial burden on the state, but also contributed to improved power generation and a reduction in the government's tariff shortfall from 3 trillion naira to 1.9 trillion naira. Despite these advancements, Nigeria's power sector continues to face significant challenges. With an installed capacity of 13 gigawatts, the country often produces just one-third of this potential, leading to a heavy reliance on expensive alternative power sources. The Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority, Sustainable Energy for All, the International Solar Alliance, and Africa 50 have recently introduced the $500 million Distributed Renewable Energy Nigeria Fund. The fund is designed to support the development and financing of distributed renewable energy projects within Nigeria. It will concentrate on investment in mini-grids, solar home systems, commercial and industrial power solutions, embedded generation projects, and innovative energy storage technologies.
Not only powers homes, but unlocks employment opportunities. The
chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Renewable Energy called for urgent action. He said Nigeria's continued reliance on fossil fuels, despite its vast reserves, has failed to provide reliable electricity, stifling economic growth and productivity. Nigeria is typically ranked among the top 10 countries globally in terms of proven oil reserves, and it holds a prominent position in the global gas market as well.
Mr. Speaker, in a historic first, he established the Committee on Renewable Energy to spearhead policies, track progress, and promote development that attracts investment and sustains renewable energy technology in Nigeria, which is exactly why we are here gathered today. This strategic approach aims to popularize the new technology and encourage Nigerians to adopt renewable energy solutions, thereby strengthening national energy options and security. The House has also taken further steps towards promoting sustainability by recently adopting a resolution that makes it mandatory for government agencies, ministries, and departments, as well as institutions, to transition to renewable energy sources for their power needs. Aside that, the House of Representatives, through the Committee on Renewable Energy, has also initiated investigations into how previous investments and grants received for the purpose of developing the renewable energy sector were managed in the past, especially given the lingering challenges in the power sector. This is to ensure accountability and transparency in government.
We must also realize that we're at a pivotal moment.
Contributors here say global decarbonization holds immense promise for Africa, addressing critical challenges, which also fostering economic growth and prosperity, highlighting that Africa's energy strategy and green job creation are closely linked, with renewable energy sectors like solar and hydropower expected to be major drivers of job growth.
Africa has always held the light of possibility. Today, that light is not simply in the minerals beneath our feet or the winds and sun above our heads. It's in our ability to lead the world, to show that an energy transition can be more than a change of technology. It can be a transformation of justice, of opportunity, of dignity. Today, nearly 600 million Africans, almost half of the continent's population, still live without access to electricity. Over 60% of Africans are under the age of 25. By 2030, Africa will account for 1 in every 3 young people globally. Now, these two realities, energy poverty and youth potential, they are not separate challenges. They are two sides of the same urgent opportunity. And if we align energy strategies with the green jobs revolution, the projection is that renewable energy sector alone could create up to 4.5 million jobs across Africa by 2030. Legislating for inclusive green employment is therefore not just a policy option, it's an economic necessity and a moral imperative.
Nigeria loses more than 2 billion naira annually due to inadequate and unreliable power supply, says the United Nations Development Programme, one of the strategic partners of the House of Representatives for the conference. The UNDP's resident representative in Nigeria says the situation has also worsened unemployment in the country. She noted that the agency's intervention in the provision of power generating facilities to Nigerians across the country has already begun to yield positive results.
Let me bring it home, Mr. Speaker. Recently, we partnered with Smeden. We went to Smeden. We saw government assets there, which was quite not functioning, not being used. We asked why is it not being used. They said we don't have power. And most of the entrepreneurs who were there were just waiting. When the light comes, they sow a bit, and then they wait till when the light will come. They had no money for diesel. So all we simply did was say, what do you need for that? They said, we need some solar. And so we partnered with them. We got a vendor. We got the solar there. And it was very interesting what solar did. During the testing period, Mr. Speaker, of just 5 days of the testing period, one young woman, Josephine, got a contract to produce 37,000 health scraps. And in doing that, she employed 280 people. She earned over 100 million naira. And 3 of the people we talked to, they said, we bought land for ourselves for the first time because we got a contract. 60 of the tailors I saw with my eyes. They had come all the way from Kaduna, Kano, and others. So why did you come here? They said, there is light here. And then the Tailor Association has been sending me messages to say, can you help us also get something in Kaduna? What am I saying? Basically, what I'm saying is that energy is not just about energy utility. The fact that we could place that solar there meant that young people could get jobs. Somebody could buy land. And so you begin to see the interconnection between energy, livelihood, energy, job, energy, poverty eradication, and so on and so forth. So this is the moment to leap and not to lag.
The Nigeria Renewable Energy Roadmap of 2023 shows the transforming energy scenario where the share of primary energy requirements met with renewable energy reaches 47% by 2030 and 57% by 2050. In terms of final energy consumption, this corresponds to a renewable share of 52% by 2030 and 59% by 2050. It states that electrification plays a significant role in achieving this renewable energy share, with a share of electricity in final energy use nearly doubling by 2050 to 27% from 2015 levels, in addition to other modern energy forms. The federal government ratified and adopted a roadmap for the Nigerian electricity supply industry by approving the National Integrated Electricity Policy. The policy is a comprehensive framework designed to transform Nigeria's electricity sector in alignment with national development objectives and international best practices, as mandated by Section 3, Subsection 3 of the Revised Electricity Act 2023. The passage of the Act was a pivotal moment for the electricity sector, signaling transformative change that has laid the foundation for Nigerian electricity supply industry and enabling potential socio-economic growth.
Enugu State was the first state that adopted the Electricity Act 2023. Right now, Enugu is conducting a data research about energy need in Enugu State. It's very important because one thing we discover is that there's no data backing up all we do, both in renewable energy, all we do in even the national grid. There's no appropriate data backing all this. And Enugu is leading in collecting this data with the help of AFDB. We are doing our best to get this data. Recently, again, Enugu State have started giving license to energy power stations, IPP, energy stations that is the moderate size from 5 megawatts and will be scaling up.
According to the International Energy Agency, over 140 million people do not have access to energy in Nigeria, about 71% of the country's population. Lack of access to energy has significant negative impact on health, education and economic development of many communities across the country. The government has implemented various policies and initiatives to encourage investment and development in the renewable energy sector. But state actors still want more.
Regulation is key, like the Honorable member said, the chairman of the Committee on Renewable Energy. However, those regulations must be clear. It must be easy to assimilate and get down to the people. Okay, it must not be ambiguous. And that is one very, very key point. And that means that stakeholders' engagement must be the fundamental for defining any regulation. Communities need to be engaged. If we are encouraging the use of renewable, if we want people to embrace it, we need to engage the key stakeholders. For instance, REA, I like the initiative they are doing right now, whereby they are engaging states, subnationals. And that's the beauty of the Electricity Act 2023. It gives subnationals to define how they want their market to evolve. We need innovative ways to make easy access to renewable energy so that the underserved and the unserved will have access to electricity. It may shock you to know that in West Africa, only 42% of people in West Africa have access to electricity. And out of this 42%, only 8% of the rural communities have access. And that is our key focus. We should focus on making sure that access to electricity gets to the rural areas.
Since energy has left the exclusive list and non-concurrent list, I think it's a very good thing for them to collaborate with effective policies, effective legislation, and enforceable one. Because if you put legislation in place to enhance renewable energy and they are not enforceable, then it might take a lot of time before we get the desired result. And what we're doing is to provide an environment for private participation, for private sector participation, to come and build mini grids for solar, so that our people there will stem an urban, rural-urban migration. If you are in a remote area, if you are in the villages, if you are in the rural community, if you have access to energy, if you can do your things there, the artisan can practice their trade, it will stem the rural-urban migration, and they can have a sustainable life at their level.
The National Integrated Electricity Policy is structured across 8 chapters, which comprehensively address the historical perspective of Nigeria's electricity sector. Key features of the Electricity Act 2023 are national electricity policy objectives, market design, value chain analysis, stakeholder roles and responsibilities, climate change and low-carbon economy initiatives, gender equality and social inclusion, local content development, including research and development, and the commercial, legal, and regulatory frameworks. But for the policy to be successful, there needs to be an adequate effort to address rising inflation.
What we've seen, and this is based on our scouting of the market, is the fact that when laws are made, those laws are not researched deeply from the perspective of the academia and also the operators of the business in that industry. So what you tend to get is that when the laws are made and then when policies get implemented, at that point, stakeholders that are supposed to have researched it or that would be living within those laws are now called to the fore. So yes, the disruption is it's very evident. If you look at the foreign exchange, that's another thing. If you look at also outside foreign exchange, the inflation is another thing. You can't go to a commercial bank and borrow money now to build a business. It's not going to happen. If you do that, you're losing money. So it means government must enhance intervention funds And this is also applicable to our case, where we went to the Bank of Industry for our scale-up, right? And those intervention funds are the only ways you can mitigate the impact of some of those shocks around foreign exchange, around inflation, because the intervention funds are lower than the commercial loans. So this is applicable even in Ghana. If you look at Ghana, the same thing. If you look at Nigeria, if you look at even Ivory Coast, right? There's the issue of inflation that's impacting businesses. There's the issue of foreign exchange impacting businesses, and then the general impact around, displacement. So if you move from the existing to the next has to be more sustainable and available, outside being affordable, right? Because it's assumed that affordability is a main driver. But what we've seen is that, if there's a lag, then there will be a greater impact, just like what we're experiencing in Nigeria.
There is a huge renewable energy potential found in Nigeria, which is yet to be explored. The heavy reliance on fossil fuels such as crude oil for its energy production has made Nigeria a top contributor to greenhouse gases, up to 1.01% of global emissions. Pertinent efforts have been placed on exploring renewable energy sources, given the increased awareness of its sustainability. Furthermore, indicators suggest that crude oil will become a much less significant driver of the energy sector in the coming years. Although renewable energy projects have a high initial cost of running over a long life, experts say the cost is small or not comparable to conventional sources. Renewable energy can help Nigeria not only meet its energy needs, but also power sustainable economic growth and create jobs while achieving global climate and sustainable development objectives. It has been agreed that the actions needed to realize this future are multifaceted and include policy, regulatory and financial related actions to place Nigeria on the path to a transformative future.
That's our show for today. Thank you for watching. From me, Ayola Kasim, and the Earthfile team here in Lagos. It's bye for now.